What's up, everybody? What's up, and welcome back to On the Warpath. It's your boy Sanchez 405. If you're new, make sure you click that subscribe button and you hit that bell so you get notifications anytime there's new content posted. As always, like, comment, share the video out because you know what we do here. It is a first here in the almost 9-year run of On the Warpath as we are previewing the divisional round with the burgundy and gold. We got our guy William here from Take Command, the MVP of Take Command. That's why I can say I'm not going to get him sued or anything like that, but he's the one who makes sure it's produced and everything like that. And I'm just going to run my victory lap real quick. William, I told you so. Leave my OCD kicker alone. I told you. It didn't look, it wasn't pretty, but it was beautiful as we went 23-20 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anything worth having is worth struggling for. Tell me how you feeling, brother.
Well, I mean, in that case, Corey, I mean, this is worth every single smile, every single clap, every single scream, because boy, did we have to struggle. I mean, I was sitting there watching him gear up for that kick, and I was already preparing the rant in my head that I was going to tee off on if that had not found its way through the uprights. But look, hats off to him. The guys got it done. And look, like you said, we've got a first for everybody, a first in what now my lifetime. We got a divisional round playoff game for the Washington Commanders. This team, God's team, the prodigal team, because I saw a great tweet that said, I don't know if I believe in God, but I believe God's a Commanders fan. And that's how it continues to feel week in and week out.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. It was wild, a lot of emotions. I said I don't really like to cry after games, but I've cried twice this season already. Once when we got that 11th win and locked up the playoff spot, and then on Sunday when we beat Tampa Bay. But let's just dive into a quick review of it, man. The Commanders came out on top, and it was not without some confusion or some struggles there. Dan Quinn going for it early on fourth down. He almost put you in he did put you in a situation where you were chasing points. But those fourth down decisions, man, tell me what you thought about them.
Well, I mean, I've been on the wave, and we've talked about it here all season. I am a huge proponent of letting this team work on fourth down. They have been one of the most successful fourth down teams in the NFL. When you have a quarterback that's as versatile and as lethal as Jaden Daniels in the passing game, but also in those short run situations where he can pull the football and get on his horse, I think that there's no reason to not go for it. I don't care what the Amazon Next Gen stats are going to tell you. And look, like there have been times where it hasn't gone our way, but time and time again, they do manage to find a way. And so much of that is a testament to Jaden Daniels, who, I mean, I'll say it. I think that maybe, numbers wise, it obviously was a sterling day, but I think that in terms of presence, in terms of demeanor, in terms of how he stepped up as a leader in the biggest moment of the season, that was the best game that we have seen him play throughout his rookie career. And the biggest testament to that was the 17-play nose to the grindstone drive where he just third down after third down, fourth down after fourth down, keeps those chains moving and gets into the end zone. And that drive in particular felt like so many that we have seen this season where the offense stalled at one point despite whatever momentum they got going, and everything fell apart. And we were stopped in the red zone. We were forced to a field goal. This time, when it mattered most, Jaden said, even if it's against all odds, I'm going to keep this train moving. And he puts up 7. That was a determining factor in this game. It kept the ball out of Tampa Bay's hands. It completely disrupted Baker Mayfield getting into his rhythm late in the first quarter, early in the game. And it was a spectacle. It really was a spectacle, and it was some of the best offense that this team has run all season, despite their ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean that. I think you summed that up perfectly. That it was um, perfect, and it was just like a theme of the whole season. And I look on defense. Right, we need the defense to make 1 to 2 plays a game, and I've been hounding on and harping on that all season long. And Bobby Wagner came through, had that fumble recovery. Marshawn Lattimore came up with a key tackle that really set them up for a little bit of tragedy on the following play when they didn't know the snap count and everything. But I mean, it was a perfect assumption of what the season has been for the Burgundy and Gold.
I mean, I think it's what we were building to, and we keep coming back to it time and time again. You mentioned the defense, where Joe Witt said at the beginning of the season, before that first game, trust this process. And thus far, continuing to do so has worked. And this defense has evolved into what we have always said, that if we want to find success, needs to be an average defense to let the offense go to work. And in so many games where we have seen the defense bail out the offense, this time it was the offense doing the defense some favors. The time of possession in this game and the way that Washington was able to dictate the pace, the rhythm, and frankly just keep the ball out of Baker Mayfield and his lethal offense's hands was really commendable. And you've just got to give a tip of the cap to Cliff Kingsbury. And we have mentioned time and time again the way that him and Jaden have coalesced into a perfect combination for one another. It's that beautiful rom-com where they finally get together and everything's perfect. The music is playing in that locker room right now because the way that they are able to play off of one another's skills and Cliff is calling those shots when Jaden is ready for them is just unbelievable. And it was, I mean, I got Hawk TV calling, do we get Bulls fired? Like this was not a Tampa Bay did anything wrong game. This was a Washington did absolutely everything right kind of performance.
I'm going to disagree with you. They what was it, Yancey or whatever his name was? Canty. When he tapped him on the helmet after that fourth down. Yeah, you poked the bull. You did poke the bull there. So I think in that respect, right, you got what was coming to you.
But I will say, like, I think that it really was. I mean, it was emotional for everybody because let's get back to the stakes here. Like, let's get back to what it meant for this franchise. And you're looking at, we talked about it today on Take Command. You're looking at two coaches that are about to face each other that have done remarkable things in turning their organization around. And I think that with that kind of weight and with that kind of pressure, mistakes were going to happen. And like things weren't going to go perfectly. And look, the offense did stall at certain points, but it was the way that Dan Quinn kept his composure and he was making plays for the offense and putting Cliff Kingsbury in positions for the offense to be successful in a way that you would not expect a defensive-minded head coach to do.
Hold on real quick. I can't hear you. Let's see here.
I've got you loud and clear now.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. There you go. Talk to me.
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, there you go. There was something on my end I had to figure out, but go ahead and say what you said again because I had lost.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, like you're looking at a defensive-minded head coach in Dan Quinn that does a phenomenal job putting his offense in position to be successful, putting Cliff Kingsbury in position to be successful. And I feel like so often now you don't see a defensive-minded head coach do that when the stakes are so high. And it all comes back to the point that now you're looking at Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn, who are about to face off on Saturday night, who are two guys that have done just that. They have turned organizations around and they have put these teams on their back and created identities in this locker room that is built on success and built on being a team, that this isn't a job. This is like you're back in that college locker room having a good time with your buddies.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're having the time of their life here, and I mean, I mean, just the culture that both the Danes have been able to create for their teams has been remarkable. They've taken franchises that have been bottom feeders in the NFL for decades, and now they're getting ready to fight for a right to be in the NFC championship game, and it has came without um, without its different and unique challenges. We thought we were going to be Detroit maybe next year, right? Maybe next year or the year following that. We thought we were going to follow the same rebuild. We got our quarterback, we get some weapons. Nobody thought that this rebuild would take as little time as possible. And I think that Holmes, you got to look at the general managers too. AP for us, and then Holmes at Detroit. We got to give them credit as long as with these coaches because they got two dudes that were wired very differently.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But it's something about that, like players coach. It's a players coach mentality from them, and they've fostered a community in this locker room where we've seen it, like guys staying and hanging out at the facilities continually after practice, like they want to be around one another. And I mean, look, this is the only organization to win an away game on Wild Card Weekend. Dan Quinn becomes the first Commanders Washington head coach to win a playoff game in his rookie season with the team since 1943. And not to mention now that with the implications of this Lions game, you've got the Philly fans rooting for us. You're going to have the Chiefs fans rooting for us. You basically have everybody in the country is going to be pulling for the Commanders against the Lions. But before we get to that, I am interested to hear, we talked about the defense there right at the top, and Marshawn Lattimore, man, like he has gotten picked on and picked on and picked on. And like you said, I mean, he had a key tackle there, and a couple really good plays in this game, but it is very evident that he has lost a step from the Marshawn Lattimore that he was, and particularly in that first half. I mean, Mike Evans was tearing him up at every opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I told you. Like everybody was talking about Baker, Irvin. I said I was afraid. Who did I say I was afraid of? Mike Evans. And what happened? Mike Evans ate. But I think for Marshawn Lattimore, I think it's a product of missing all that time too. Because we got to think about it. He really wasn't picked on against the Saints because the Saints knew who he was. And then his real game was against A.J. Brown. And then he got shut down after that, hadn't played in 3 weeks after that. He's still getting his sea legs under him because he really hadn't from the time he came to Washington. So we're talking about a guy who really hadn't played ball since October, and he's played sparingly in 2 games since then. So I mean, I don't know if he's lost a step or he's trying to get back to gaining what he was. So I'm not saying both things can be true at the same time, because evidently he looks like he's lost a step. But is that a product of just him trying to get? He's learning a new defense, and then and he's probably being asked to do different things than he did with New Orleans. So Dennis Allen was his defense coach for how long, and then he was his head coach. So you're talking different language, different attitude, different vibe, and all that stuff. So he was picked on. I expect him to bounce back because I figure the aggressor that he is on defense will not allow him to continue to get embarrassed.
No, I agree. But I think that part of what worried me was that there was a seeming lack in the aggressor factor that we know that he has. And I keep thinking back to the touchdown throw to Mike Evans where Lattimore was I mean, look, Lattimore was all over his back, but what are you doing in front of his back? Like, that is a play.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that they were going to go to Mike Evans. You know that he's going to try to put you in a bully matchup. You got to be a little bit more tenacious there. And there were several throws over the middle to Mike Evans where Lattimore was getting caught up when they run that 3 bunch into the pick game. And Lattimore's playing off of it because he doesn't want to get caught and he doesn't want to get screened. But I mean, Marshawn Lattimore, you got picked up onto this team to be a dog on defense. I don't expect you to get screened in a clump. If anything, I expect you to take some dude's head off on the way to getting back to to Evans. And so, look, I completely hear you, and I agree with you that he has not had probably the entrance into Washington's team that he would have hoped for. But I think that it is fair to say now, when we were still in a bit of a limbo state, that Marshawn Lattimore was a very good pickup. He probably was not the Marshawn Lattimore everybody was hoping that he was going to be when we picked him up. And not that I have concerns, but there's something to be said for the fact that we have signed him on for next year as well. And that we now know that we cannot rely on him to be the guy for this Commanders secondary, I don't think, going into next season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's not elite, right? It's the same conversation we had. He's not elite, but he can be very good. And if he can capture being very good, I think you're going to set yourself up pretty well, because you think you bring him back, Samerstill's back. We know St. Juice's green card is over with at the end of the year. So, and then you'll put somebody in there. Maybe you'll get somebody via free agency, and you'll go from there. But
well, you've got to, and with the cap space that they have, that's a move that is a move that has to be made. Like, you're looking at receiver, you're looking at, like, let's get a good value receiver to help Terry out, and let's shore up this defense, because those are the 2 areas that, like, really are just they're glaring issues. And I mean, that's going to be one of the biggest issues. And the other, I mean, I had 2 other big things to talk about.
Yeah,
we'll keep it critical before we get to the big. Let's give him his flowers. But man, Corey, this running back room, like, they just, for how hot they started the season, I don't know if it's Cliff just not being imaginative enough to disguise what he's doing, if B-Rob has suddenly just, lost it. Like, I mean, the usual suspects. You got a Kaiser Sose, you see him, he's gone, never see him again. Like, 10 carries for 16 yards is unacceptable from the guy that is supposed to be your running back 1. I'll give it to Eckler. Look, Eckler was always going to be the fewer carries. Let's get a big explosive out of him. 8 for 27, I think, doesn't articulate the impacts that he had, because some of those runs that he had on 3rd down were must-haves, particularly during that 17-play drive. I will give Eckler, a good tip of the cap, because he did what we needed him to do. But
in the passing game too, he cleans up what it masked a lot of that deficiency in the running area.
Absolutely. But this running back room, it is a alarming situation heading into a Lions game where you are going against the highest scoring offense in the NFL, and you've got to control the clock and you've got to control the football. I mean, what did you see? Because McNichols, I mean, he only got 1 touch, but this room, I mean, how badly do we need Rodriguez back?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that surprised me, was that he was inactive. I get that you want to carry 3 running backs on there, but I think at this juncture of the game, maybe you need to sacrifice one of those receivers or something for another running back, because it's just it just wasn't happening with him. And I think part of it is B-Rob, but I think also the line was just missing the ball. Like, I mean, you think about it, I was just watching a clip earlier, Bill Belichick talking about us on the field, setting up for the field goal, right, where Jaden rolled out and we went 5 yards back, and he got a hit on there because the line just wasn't blocking. And I mean, that to me, I saw that a lot. It seemed like they were coming up the A gap, the B gap, and even though B-Rob uses that jump cut a lot. I think there was nothing there for him.
No, I mean, I think that's a good
Yeah.
point. And I think it's difficult to put it all on him. Like, I mean,
Right,
and
it is.
let's circle back to, is B-Rob, not even elite? Like, is B-Rob great?
No, he's
I
not
think
great.
that's
No,
like, I don't even think he's great. He's
I
a
wouldn't
one-trick
even
pony.
say
He's a north-south runner. He doesn't
right.
go side to side. Like,
I
he
wouldn't
is
say
going to
good
run
either.
through the A gap, run through the B gap, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. But this offensive line, to your point, has not been. It has not felt in form. It has not
Right.
felt in form really since. And I mean, I'm looking back at this schedule here. It's been at least 4 weeks since we've had anything positive to say.
Yeah,
Like,
on the run game, yeah.
I mean, not
That's
even
good.
the run game, but just even the offensive line's form. And you have to appreciate, obviously, like we've said, this was an offensive line that their early season success came from their ability to rotate, came from how fresh they were. We saw how tattered they were heading into the bye week before, that Steelers game. We knew that the rest and recovery was going to be paramount, but it really just feels like they never got back. And they were never even at the level that they started the season at, but they've regressed further. And it's a testament to Jaden, honestly, against that Tampa Bay defense, that he didn't get his head taken off more.
Right.
The way that they were coming at him, and the way that they were, intently rushing and trying to put pressure on our rookie quarterback. But the offensive line is an issue. It's just, at a certain point, you would have to think that there's something that you can do, something that you could scheme up to make any sort of productivity occur for the running back room.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's an Anthony Lynn thing. That's a Bobby Johnson thing, and a Cliff Kingsbury thing, is to get them all on the same page and figure it out, because you can't be one dimensional going into Ford Field on Saturday, because if you go in there one dimensional, you're gonna lose the ball game, and we know that from the jump. Or you know what? Maybe don't lose the ball game, because this is the craziest thing about this Detroit Lions team. The two losses that came at home. Their first loss of the season, right? They outgained Tampa 2-1, but they turned the ball over twice.
Yeah.
And they were -1 in the turnover ratio. So I mean, and that was early in the season. We call that an anomaly, trying to figure out who you were, because that's what a lot of teams are doing in the first month of the season. And then Buffalo, one of the more elite teams in the league, coming in it. But whatever it is, the running game has to figure it out. B-Rob needs 75 yards on the ground at least.
Oh, 100%.
At least, for me to feel comfortable about us with a chance to win this game. And if he can do that, I like our chances. Because, like you said, number one scoring offense, your best defense is going to be your offense and keeping them off the field. And what does that entitle? That entitles running the football.
I mean, look, 82 rushing yards total is unacceptable. That is an unacceptable figure for a team that, I mean, by golly, we're here, is in the divisional round of the playoffs. Hats off. We're celebrating. But at 82, a double-digit running game is unacceptable for a team that's hoping to compete, particularly, like we said, against a team as prolific as the Lions. Fortunately, though, this past week, even though the running game fell apart, you want to talk about somebody that found their identity, that grew into this season. I mean, can we give Dyami Brown like the whole garden? Like, not even the flowers. I'll give him the whole damn garden, Corey. This is somebody that we talked about. Every single person was like, who's our wide receiver two? Who is it? And at the beginning of the season, it was Dyami Brown, Dyami Brown, Dyami Brown, Dyami Brown. Somebody that was basically a healthy scratch through the first 6 weeks, slowly integrating himself into the offense. And when it matters most, the guy puts on his cape and shows up with an absolutely spectacular performance. Spectacular. He went from having 4 left feet to just making some absolutely unbelievably talented catches, timely catches, moving with the football after the catch. He looked like a complete receiver on Sunday night. And I think that if it wasn't glaringly obvious to everyone watching, needs to be A, praised, and B, he's got to keep that rolling this week.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
the weight that he lifted off of Terry and the dynamic between them two, both walking away with 89 yards on only 12 combined receptions, that's the kind of efficiency that we need to expect from this offense in the passing game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, and we always say who's going to be number 2. We've seen Crowder step up. We've seen OZ step up. We've seen Diami step up. We've seen Zach Ertz step up. That's what it is. If you can mix this running game together, you can get that running game to work. Then you pick and your receivers are okay, and you don't have to deal with elements. You don't have to deal with elements at Ford Field. All you got to do is going to be cold walking in. Other than that, it's going to be nice. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be like Florida all over again.
But it's going to be loud.
Yeah, it's going to be loud. But, to that point, these guys have played – a lot of these guys have played at big-time colleges. Jaden has played at LSU. He's been to Georgia. He's been to Alabama. He's been to some of these big places.
I mean, half the roster's from Ohio State now, and they know what it's like to play in some big-time games.
Exactly. Like, they know – like, these players know what it's like. And Bobby Wagner said the best thing. I don't remember who he was talking to, but on the sideline, he said the playoffs are no different than any other game. And they're like, no, really? What? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's just you have to maintain focus. That's all it is you have to focus. And I thought, and I'm going back to his fumble recovery, that was nothing but focus. Because it was it was a one-on-one situation between him and Baker Mayfield. Baker knew he screwed up, and Bobby knew he screwed up. So Bobby was like, let me take advantage of this screw up and help my team out. He doesn't take advantage of that screw up. The ball bounces back into Tampa's hand. We're probably not getting that ball back.
No. And what did we say, Corey? It wasn't just the turnovers. This is exactly what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
It was getting the turnovers, creating those opportunities, but then putting the onus on the offense to get that football back and move the sticks.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. They didn't get the ball back from their defense and go, well, 3 and out, let's send them back on the field. Even when the offense wasn't firing, the way that they shaved time off the clock in this game was reminiscent of a veteran quarterback running a veteran NFL offense. No rookie that we have seen, I would say, of late, even the greats, even when we saw CJ Stroud playing at his best, I don't think that we have seen a quarterback in the past several years have that level of composure and that level of intelligence in a game as big as this to be almost playing in slow motion. And he says, you know what? This isn't too big a stage. This isn't too big a game. I'm going to take this and I'm going to play exactly the way that I want to, and I'm going to slow this thing down. I mean, a 17-play drive from a rookie quarterback at a away wild card game is unfathomable.
90-plus yard drive.
Unfathomable. To have the talent, to have the mentality, and to have the leadership aspect amongst this offense where they trust you to grind your way down the field is unbelievable. And look, as big of a stage as it was last week, it's only bigger week in, week out. And heading into Ford Field this week, they're going to have that same level of composure. And I think it was Cliff who it was Joe Witt Jr. in his press conference who said they're going to test the Commanders' discipline. Yep. And that's exactly what this game needs to be, is a clinic on what it means to be a disciplined football team.
Yep.
Because turnovers on our end, penalties on our end, errors of really any kind against a team as prolific as the Lions are going to be unacceptable. And you want to talk about capitalizing on when they get the football. The Lions are the best team in the NFL to do that because, like it or not, they're going to find their way into the end zone.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Steve Money said Todd Bowles didn't fumble that ball. I hear you. Anything else on this game on the victory in Tampa?
I mean, look, I'll take my victory lap with you. That was no matter what happens this week, and I felt the same way.
I can't think like that.
Look, I said it before last week. Everybody was saying it before last week. Everybody was saying it before last week. Even before I would say the Dallas game, everybody was saying it. This has been an unforgettable season.
It has.
It has been an unforgettable season for Washington Commanders football, for NFL football fans that love an underdog comeback story. People are going to be talking about what Jayden Daniels has done in his rookie season for years to come. Not just in one game, not just in the first half of the season. The way that Jayden Daniels has dominated the NFL at every opportunity put in front of him, the way that Dan Quinn has turned around an organization, the way that Josh Harris, as a new owner, brings in the right people, they make the savvy business moves to put a haphazard roster around a rookie quarterback, win 12 games, win an away wild card game. We are never going to forget what has happened up to this point in the season. And as we look ahead to this weekend, it's house money. There is no reason. You're looking at two of the ballsiest coaches in the NFL. Dan Quinn is going to go out there knowing that he has absolutely nothing to lose. You're going to see trick plays. You're going to see no punts. It is going to be a thriller of a game. And while the public is shifting the line 4.5 points, while pundits are all picking the Lions, if you have watched a single second of Commanders football this season, you know that you cannot count these boys out.
Expect the unexpected. Yeah. As let's say hello to some of the folks here in the chat. Designed by Grace live stream. He says, "Hi guys, do you believe we can win? Just call me the U.S. women's soccer team." What Steve Money says, they have to have more points than the other team. Bowles didn't have fun with the ball. That's right. LC says,
I think that's a good shout.
Yep.
That is definitely once again, not to take anything away from him, because I think that he's being ballsy, getting out there on that field every single time that he has done it. And he knows that he's putting his body on the line. So we're not taking away from the fact, because I definitely agree with you, that hamstring is more than it was advertised to be, more than it is advertised to be. And he's showing a lot of guts to get out there because he knows what it means for that defense, for him to be on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. He was responding to Eric James. A lot of DMV content creators pick the Lions to win. Please, can you tell me a path to victory? We'll dive in that in a minute here. Bucks, Rays, and Bolts says Crazy Bowles was coming. Was a Redskin at one time. Not a good head coach. Rooting for us. Appreciate you. Todd deserves to keep his job. Bowles got no. It's fire. What's up, Hawk? And Bucks, Rays, Bolts. He's saying Buck fans feel sad for the Bucks. Super Bowl window is closed. Surprise, Commanders don't like to punt the ball. We aren't. Let's see. Let's go.
If you want to see punts, don't tune into the game this weekend.
Yeah, you won't see punts. You won't see it.
I don't think from either side.
Yeah. Let's see. Yes, but how? Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute. And then the same way they've been doing all season. That's right, Steve Money. I would like to have faith in our team, but to look good. Okay. So let's talk about this. The Detroit Lions host the Washington Commanders, #1 seed in the National Football Conference. We come a calling as the 6th seed. They're 15-2 to the register. We're 13-5. We have a rookie quarterback. They have an established veteran who I think sometimes is very is underly overrated at times. And what do I mean by that? Is that sometimes I think people undersell Jared Goff, and then I think sometimes they put him on a pedestal and he lets you down. He has not done that in Detroit. He led them to the NFC Championship game last year against San Francisco 49ers, but then Dan Campbell had shit for brains and decided to go for it on fourth down instead of trusting his kicker to go and extend it. And then we saw what happened. The bottom fell out. They killed their own momentum. And they were the underdog last year, even though they did host 2 playoff games. They were the underdog kind of coming in to the playoffs. Everybody was like expecting them, like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe Detroit could make some noise. They did make I think they were the 3 seed. Is that right? Were they the 3 seed?
Yeah, I think so.
So they came out there and they played some good ball, and they've been a hell of a team this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery's back, Sam Laporta. We have a local guy that I live in his backyard who's on their practice squad. Went to UVA. I went to UVA. Went to Virginia Tech. You may have heard of James Mitchell. So he's on their practice squad and everything. And then no Aiden Hutchinson. He broke his leg, but they brought Zadarius Smith in there. They're getting Arnold back this week. And they've got Branch back there that can do some things. What's his name? Alex Anzalone, as well as good linebacker. So they are stacked here in Detroit, man. So you should fear the Lions. Hell no, you shouldn't fear nobody, because this is the playoffs, man. Any damn thing can happen on any damn day.
No, look, you don't fear them, but I mean, damn, you gotta respect them. Yeah. Damn, you gotta respect them. And you gotta respect every single guy that they're gonna put out on offense and defense. Look, this is a team that is absolutely, fully stocked. The grocery store on Sunday morning, they are loaded with weapons, and they've got 100 ways to kill you. They're, very of that kind of West Coast air raid offense. They're going to get you with the RPO. They could get you basically any way they want. They'll get you on the ground. They'll get you in the air. They'll get you with a trick play, because you've got one, probably, we'll call Dan Quinn one of the ballsiest coaches in the league. You've got the ballsiest coach in the league in Dan Campbell over there. They are not afraid to go for it. They're not afraid to take their shots, and they're going to find a way to hurt you. That's what they have done every single game, is that they have this really sound foundation for what they do both on offense and defense. And week in and week out, you start to see these little wrinkles, these little developments, these intricacies that they've worked in. That is what's made them probably the best offense and, one of the best defenses in football. Right. This is going to be a high-flying game, but look, you're right. There is no reason, and I am not, and we've been talking to our buddies about this. Are you scared? No, you can't be scared. The form that we are in, the God's golden touch that this team has been given. And we also know, like you said, 15-2, they've got 2. They're not invincible. This is not an invincible Lions team. This is not a, Chiefs team from 2 years ago even. Like, they have had some ups and downs this season. While they've been dominant, while it hasn't always reflected on the record books, they're not invincible. And that's the mindset that I think that this team has. And you've listened to the guys giving their interviews, their last day of practice in the district today. They seem composed. They seem focused. And I don't think that they're in any way intimidated. The one thing that shook me in my boots a little bit was when Amon-Ra St. Brown started talking about that draft list that he likes to keep in his locker. And I think it was, who was it? It wasn't OZ. It was Diami that got picked in front of him. It was Diami. And he's like, I don't care about the Commanders. I'm coming for him. I was like, well, let's not put a little, let's maybe take the chip off of Amon-Ra's shoulder here. That's a little worrisome against this secondary. But look, this is going to be a hell of a football game. This is going to be a balls to the wall, all out, high flying, end to end kind of football game that I think has the possibility to be everything that Commanders-Ravens matchup was touted to be, of a game of explosive offense, a real back and forth fixture, one that is high scoring, one that is exhilarating, play in, play out. These guys are going to turn the ball over. I think it's going to be a big one. And I sure as hell hope and think it can go better than that game against the purple and black.
Can we play a game? Let's just play a game, because we got to, because this is a Commanders channel. So we have to have a bias slant towards the Commanders. So let's look. People talk about our schedule and us not really beating anybody. let's just humor me here for a minute. Let's look at Detroit and their 17-game season. Let's start on Sunday Night Football in week 1. Took the Rams to overtime, 26-20. That's
Well,
what
and hey, hell of a football team. Grew into their form,
right.
but grew into their form late in the season.
They were 1-4. They were like 1-4 to start the season after. So,
So call that, I'd throw that in the Bengals bucket. Throw that one in the Bengals bucket.
Okay. Lost to Tampa at home. Then they played the Arizona Cardinals, beat them 20-13 in Arizona. Jaden Daniels and the boys won 42-14 out there.
Handily.
Just stick with me. I might bless you here in a minute. They beat the Seahawks, who were kind of up and down this year. They won 10 games.
Middling year.
Beat them 42-9. They went on a bye week. Destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys beat us. We struggled against them, but that is a division opponent. So,
And I mean, look, that's one of the ones that's a classic timeless. That's going to go either way. I don't care about the year. It's Cowboys Commanders.
Yeah. Let's look at this again. 2 points against Minnesota at Minnesota. They destroyed the Titans. We destroyed the Titans. Beat the Packers by 10 in Green Bay. That was an ugly game. Green Bay just didn't show up. Green Bay was also 1-5 in the division. And they're one of 2 teams that turned the ball over 5 times in a game and actually won. They won on the road against Houston, 26-23 after Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. They beat the brakes off of Jacksonville. They beat the brakes off of Indianapolis. Then on Thanksgiving, if Matt Eberflus knows how to use a timeout, they may lose and this is all hypothetical. So don't think I'm underselling Chicago. I'm not Chicago, but Detroit. They win 23. They hold on 23-20. Green Bay Packers. They beat them on Thursday Night Football after a week of rest from Thanksgiving on Thursday. 34-31. They lose to the Bills after having an extended rest. 48-42. Play Chicago, beat them. Struggled against the underhanded San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. Then they beat the brakes off the Vikings, who lost to the Rams. So, Corey, what do you mean by all this? It sounds like you're saying the Lions are terrible. Washington's going to steamroll. No, I'm saying we can compete with this team. We can. Just as much as they can compete with us, we can compete with them. I'm not underselling them. I'm just saying that we've played very similar quality of opponents. The difference is they have more experience together than we do.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, I think that in reality, you're looking, just like you absolutely said before, you're looking at a Lions team that is a glimpse into the future of what we could see this Washington team under Dan Quinn being in 3 to 4 years. Yeah. This is just an experienced group. They play very well together. And look, to your point, Jared Goff has not been elite. He is not an elite quarterback, but this guy has come to Detroit.
Quarterback.
No, he's come to Detroit and he's got a lease on life. I mean, there have been halves this season where he'll go double-digit throws and not have an incompletion. Mm-hmm. Like, he can hit his targets. And part of that is because, and this is one of the biggest matchups that you're going to have to worry about as a Commanders fan this weekend, the strength of their receiving core looking at this secondary. And, we ragged off Marshawn Lattimore at the beginning of this. We've given all of these guys hell. I don't care who we put out on that field. Whoever is in that secondary needs to have their head on a swivel on Saturday because these receivers, they run intricate routes. They do a great job of creating these kind of tricky, difficult plays. And Dan Campbell's going to throw in a trick play or two. Every single guy on that defense needs to know where the football is at. And Rick, you're right. And the Bucs, lest we forget, we're not downplaying the Bucs. The Bucs were a good team, and Bucs were a team that we were A, not favored against, and B, a lot of people picked us to lose. Yeah. This team doesn't just lose games. Right. There is no way. And the beauty of it too, Corey, that I was talking to one good friend who's an Eagles fan about.
I'm sorry.
If you have this game within 10 points with 4 minutes left, no team is safe. no team is safe against the Commanders because Jaden Daniels will go out there and he'll play his best football with under 4 left in the fourth quarter. If this is a 10-point game, the Lions need to be worried. Like, they need to be worried in that fourth quarter. Unless they have it like 17 plus, this game ain't over until it's over. And they're going to play it down to the final whistle. And we know that they will because they've done it time and time and time again. Jaden Daniels now, 4 game-winning drives where he's the last man to touch the football? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's going to be the last team with the ball is probably going to win if it gets to that stage, right?
Well, and that's where it comes back to ball control. So, they've got it. They have got to dominate the pace of play.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is me. So being a fan of this team, it's personal for me. I have family from Detroit. My father was a Detroit Lions fan. I haven't heard much from him this week, so that's good. I haven't heard anything from him actually, so it makes me kind of worried.
I've been giving my cousin an earful. I've been giving my Detroit cousin an earful.
Oh, see, look, I sound glad about, but I need, like, if I'm Josh Harris, if I'm Adam Peters or anything, you've got 2 people in that building, 3 people in that building on a daily basis that are probably in there, in London Fletcher, Santana Moss, and Fred Smoot. Have them in here. And this is what I'm telling you. We owe those boys for 2009.
Yeah.
We have never been able to get right against Detroit. We beat them in 2019, and that was a fluky win. And God rest Dwayne Haskins' soul. And he couldn't even finish the game because he's doing selfies and had to send Case Kim out there. Anyway, that's beside the point. We owe these cats like that. I don't know if that message has been portrayed in that building, but it should be. That we owe these cats. We were their streak enders. It is business. It's organizational business against the Detroit Lions. Yeah, they're the better team. On paper, they're the better team. They've got more talent. They're more established. I can't believe I'm saying that about a Detroit Lions team. But you asked me that about 5 years ago. I've been like, you're crazy. But this is what happens. We owe these guys. And then you also owe, for whoever you believe, you owe Ben Johnson. Because anybody left in that room, I'm talking to Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Quan Martin, I'm talking to you, Tress Way, all you guys that are in the room still. Ben Johnson didn't want to coach you. He thought you were inferior to coach. He did.
Well, and they wanted Sam Howell.
Yeah, and he wanted Sam Howell. Exactly. This stuff has to be relayed to them. You got a lot of bulletin board material up there that you can use.
And I agree with you. And I think that so often it's easy to dismiss that kind of talk and that kind of narrative as fluff and be like, it doesn't matter. This is the playoffs.
Yeah, it matters.
And that does matter because at the end of the day, and I was talking about this too, it doesn't matter who is the better team.
Right.
We see upsets all the time. This is a win or go home situation. And so at the end of the day, the only teams that are left in this situation are good football teams. And so it is going to come down to who has the heart and who has the want and who has the go get them out on this field. And so if you're Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn is notorious for this, he's a locker room guy. He's a player's coach. This is a narrative game. You need to be instilling that narrative. You need to be inspiring that narrative and impressing it onto these guys and this isn't a team. And I'll say it like, this is a team that thrives off of that. They've shown that they thrive off of that kind of conglomerate, that kind of energy and the way that they come together and the way that for them, it is a brotherhood. And you hear Luvu talk about it all the time. Like, this is how they play. And when they play at their best, it's when they're fired up and when they have that like inspirational tagline above the locker, for lack of a better term. This is going to be a heart gutsy match. And so I agree with you. I also think on the other side of it, though, it's what makes this such a dangerous matchup because on the other side of Dan Quinn, you've got one of the most inspiring coaches in the NFL on the sideline. And you know damn well that he's going to have his guys revved up and roaring. And the Commanders now are not a team that other opponents are going to overlook, that they're going to shy away from. They know that they're coming up against a good football team, and the Lions have proven it because they were the Commanders. They were that underdog story, and so they know what we're capable of.
Right. Exactly. It's no talking head narrative, Rick. Just because you don't want to believe the facts, he didn't want to come here. That's not a talking head narrative. That's exactly what it is. He did not want to come here.
No, when it came out, as soon as he said that I want Sam Howell to be quarterback, and they made it clear that he was not going to be the one picking the quarterback, that the organization was going to pick the quarterback, he chose to step away.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's a fact of the matter. And that's coming from somebody myself who fully was on board with hiring Ben Johnson, and who, from my days back in Atlanta, was certainly afraid of hiring Dan Quinn as a head coach again, because I've seen what he does in big time situations.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, it's no harm. It's no disrespect to who Ben Johnson is. He said he didn't want the job because he said he wants to take a job when it feels right for him. He didn't want to come here. It's fine. It's not a big deal, bro.
But I'm not afraid to play off of it heading into the game.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you use. That's what you use that stuff for. Coaches use it. Belichick has used it before. There's no disrespect to him in that respect. He couldn't handle it. He can't handle it. That's fine. He can stay a coordinator with Sam Howell. Maybe he'll trade for me. He goes somewhere. He can trade for Sam Howell, and we'll see.
Well, look, to be fair, there's a lot to be said to be staying at coordinator too, because we saw what happened to Cliff Kingsbury, and he sure found a lot more success at the coordinator position than at the head coach.
Yeah,
and frankly, I mean, you saw Dan Quinn go up to him afterwards, and he's like, "You better stay here."
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's part of the reason why I don't see him taking a job in Chicago, because he has found so much success as a coordinator, and he is enjoying it. He's got a great relationship. And yeah, I don't know about this, JJ. I think that there'll be an educational course, but I don't think it will be the pupil will not be the Washington Commanders. It might be Jaden Daniels saying
class. He said that. Oh, he said that. He said that. I'm keeping it respectful.
Jaden Daniels is about to have a little teacher-student situation with Jared Goff. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Lord have mercy.
But man, Corey, let's get into this.
Yeah, that's good. Let's dive into this.
If you're looking at, I'm making you go first this time. Because I went first last week. You're looking at this Lions offense. Lions offense. Who's scaring you? Who's their guy that's got to show up?
I think it's Jahmyr Gibbs, right? It's got to be Jahmyr Gibbs, because they want to keep Jaden Daniels off the field, and that's another thing. And this is a talking head narrative too. Apparently, they struggle, and Rick and JJ, y'all slow me down now if I'm wrong on this. They struggled against mobile quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, they have not been as successful against mobile quarterbacks.
Right. So I'm just saying that's a thing. And what I'm saying with this is that I want to keep that if I'm Detroit, I want to keep that mobile quarterback off the field. Yeah. What's the best way to do it? I bludgeoned the Minnesota Vikings, a team that had 13 wins to the register, 14 wins to the register, and bludgeoned them to get the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. Yeah. I'm going to try to bludgeon the Commanders with them, who can't stop the run, who has an inferior running defense, as the guy from Rick, whatever his name is, Rick Rule or whatever his name is, said we have an inferior running game. That criticism is accurate. The run defense has been inferior. So look at
the Giants game. Look at what Saquon was able to do for the Eagles. That is a huge glaring issue for as weak as the secondary is. When you batter this defensive line early, they crumble in the fourth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great shout. I mean, if I'm looking at it, it's the easy pick. But look, you want to talk about elite? We're having the elite discussion. Amon-Ra is elite.
Oh yeah,
Amon-Ra is in that elite category, and you're going to have Marshawn Lattimore probably going up against him. You've got to assume we're going to try to sit in some more zone defense I would think, just because of the amount of weapons that they have. But look, I mean, what he has done now for the past several seasons is remarkable by any standard
Right.
of the word. 115 receptions, second in the NFL for 1,200 yards. That's fifth in the NFL. The guy's got 12 touchdowns, third in the NFL. Those are elite numbers. Those are elite numbers. And a fourth round pick, no less. Like, this is a guy that is the story. I mean, you want to talk about the underdog story. He is the underdog story.
Yeah.
He has grown into this league and is taking it over like an invasive species. He is a phenomenal athlete. His speed, his agility, his catch radius, the way that he is able to get to the ball in contested situations. He is somebody that has the ability to dismantle this entire Washington defense, not only in the passing game, but the way that he could be disruptive and open up running opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Defensive, I'll let you start up this time.
Defense for them.
Yeah.
For the bad guys. I mean, now this is a really interesting situation. And this has been, when I've been rationalizing the game, one of my lights at the end of the tunnel. Because obviously they are without their best defensive weapon. Hands down.
Which it hasn't mattered, though.
It hasn't mattered. It hasn't mattered. But what I have watched and what I have noticed is that, like, when you lose somebody of that capacity, it's the same way when, like, the Steelers lose Watt. Like, it takes you from what is an elite defense to a more manageable defense because of the attention that they draw from an offensive line and the way that you have to have somebody there to chip them, where you have to be ready on a double. So that is a light at the end of the tunnel. You're also looking at a long list of very injured players. And that was the real concern for them in the end of the season, heading into the playoffs, was that the injuries were going to continue to pile up on defense. They've gotten a lot of guys back. And I mean, look, you're looking at it. I mean, Zadarius Smith is going to be a huge issue. He's going to be a huge issue. And frankly, I would say, like, most of the guys on their interior have the ability to give us some problems just because of the way that they are still the young mobile types, and most of our offensive line are not ready for big boy ball. We run a smaller offensive line, and everybody on their interior, they play big boy ball. And if we get down in the trenches with them, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay.
But if I'm picking one, like, you're picking one, like Zadarius Smith. Like, Zadarius Smith, I think that he could give us some real problems as a guy that could step up outside on the end. He's got 22 solo tackles, 9 sacks this season, 9 sacks tied for 18th in the league. This is an offensive line that has looked shaky, and he's not going to get, I think it's because of the fact that he is not going to get overt extra attention in our game plan, that there are going to be real opportunities for him to capitalize on that and potentially make Jaden's life hell.
Yeah. I can't believe you left this one out here for me, but I appreciate it.
Well, I was leaving some on the bone for you. I went a little bit more obscure. Here.
I'm
worried about Jaden getting sacked because, like I said, these are big boys, and they might be the biggest team that we played defensively in terms of size.
I would say Brian Branch, right?
I mean, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Brian Branch, although he hasn't had an interception since October, right?
But still 79 solo tackles, 4 interceptions.
He's a difference maker. He's a playmaker. So I would say that in that secondary. And, when somebody hasn't had a drought like that, they're kind of due for one. He worries me defensively for them. He's dominant. He's a dominant tackler there. So I would go with Brian Branch. And that was a guy.
I'll say briefly on that. How do you see this Terry McLaurin matchup with him shaping up? Because you do well with are you going to have Branch? Oh, excuse me. No. I'm sorry. How do you see the Terry McLaurin? Yeah. How do you see the McLaurin matchup going?
I think Terry will get his. I think Terry will get his.
Because I think I agree with you, but I'm almost more afraid of Branch than Terry and Arnold in a way, just because of like the Commanders are going to do things offensively to try to get him away from the ball. And like, he's been phenomenal, but it's the interceptions and the way that he has been a bit of a ball hawk this season that I think makes Brian Branch a little bit more scary in terms of the like immediate damage he could do to the offense, if that makes sense. Particularly if he against a Diami, against an Alameda, who are not the contested pass catchers that Terry McLaurin is, who are not going to shoot the football away from him.
Yeah, and this is the best defense we've played since Philadelphia, too. So
without a doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, Philadelphia, the first time around, they locked us down up at their place. And then, we can argue and say that, Hurts wasn't in there, and that's why, the bottom fell out. They still gave up 36 points against us. Let me take a look at this.
Well, it's going to be a lot of man coverage, too.
Yeah.
So that's why I bring up the matchup situation, because it is going to be a lot of one-on-one man coverage, and they're going to force the Commanders receivers to beat them. And so, I think that, you're going to get Terry and Arnold on Terry McLaurin, but there's going to be some mix and matching because they're going to try to shake us up for sure.
But they got Robertson. Is it their other corner, Robertson? Yeah, Amik Robertson on that other side, and then they got Kirby Joseph back there as a free safety too. So they probably got the best safety tandem in the league.
I would assume, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's certainly worrisome. Their situation is worrisome as everybody's getting into it there.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think that those matchups, given the fact that they are probably going to run more man coverage than we have seen all season, it's going to be interesting. And I
like Jack Campbell too.
Physical dogfight. I do too.
Jack Campbell, their linebacker. I like him.
Yeah, I do too. And then like I said, every single one of their boys up front are going to be a problem because this offensive line is not built to handle pressure. And we talked about it against the Buccaneers, and as good as the Buccaneers front was, they're not as big and they're not as ferocious as the Detroit Lions. And so there is a very real fear for me. Part of why I think, you've got your Zadarius Smith that could really create a problem for Jaden Daniels. I think that I don't want him to be fearful of running. I still want that same tenacity, but there's a situation where I kind of want him to be a little bit more cautious, because if you get, some of these guys on top of him, there is injury concern more so than any other team we faced, I think.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's the moment of truth.
Oh, God.
Let's go. And you get to do it first. Who wins?
Briefly, should we go for our guys? Briefly?
Let's. We don't have that much on the on the offense. We don't have that.
Diami's got to show up. I need our pass catchers to show up, and this running back room has got to shape up.
This game comes down to strategy. I think this is going to be more of a mental game, because I think at the end of the day, I think if we are to win, it's going to be close, right? I think Detroit can win close and they can beat the brakes off of us. I don't think that we can beat the brakes off of Detroit.
No. This could be a 4-score that we turn into like a 3-score that we turn into like a 2-score, or if it's within 2 scores, strap in for the fourth quarter because we've got ourselves a ball game.
Yeah, exactly. It could go one of those 3 ways. I think Terry's got to have a heck of a game, right? He's going to have to get his, and then who's going to be your second guy? Is it going to be Zacchaeus? Is it going to be Amon-Ra? Is it going to be Diami?
I wish it was Amon-Ra. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, right on our side. And then can Eckler do enough? Can he have a?
Let's get Ertz back in too.
You're right. Ertz involved in there as well, because Ertz knows what it's like to be in these moments. He knows.
And that's one thing is that there are veterans on this team. There are veterans in this locker room that know what it's like to be here. Do they know what it's like to be here with the Commanders? No. Do they know what it's like to be with such a young hodgepodge of a roster? Probably not. But
Yep.
they know they have the leadership and they have the knowledge. We're not flying blind in this locker room.
No. Mm-mm. No, and I mean, it's something every time I see Bobby Wagner, it's just something about him in this moment that's like, okay, him and Jaden, they just look so unbothered. I mean, in Tampa, and I bet you people are like, we're sweating and everything like that, and it's like, oh God, what's going to happen here? So, I think Bobby's got to have another big day on defense. Who needs to step up? I think Fowler, you were the leading sacker. You haven't done much of anything. You
Yeah,
need to step up.
100%.
Please don't rough the passer. In the secondary, right? Jeremy Chin. I need him to have another good game. And Mikey Sammer still. This is a big moment for him. Whoever they put him on, if it's going to be on Amon Ra, if it's going to be on Jameson Williams, right? He's got to lock down whichever guy he's playing over there, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then let Marshawn Lattimore do what he can do. Now, if these guys give those receivers fits, and they try to make them one dimensional a little bit, hey, you got a shot.
Yeah,
you got a shot.
That's what it is. And so, I mean,
go. Come on, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
27-24, the boys.
Okay.
I'm riding with them. I mean, like, I texted my buddy the perfect encapsulation, and I've said it to one of my best friends who's a diehard fan, has come to a bunch of games with me this season. I texted him after the game, and I said, "How about him?" And we both just said, "I don't think we're ever going to lose again."
Oh gosh, don't say that.
I just don't think we ever lose again, ever. I think that this team is too good. But in all seriousness, I think that Dan Quinn is the guy to get this locker room ready to go.
He's been in that spot before.
He has been here before.
Yep.
He knows what it's like to inspire as well as any other coach in the league, maybe second to Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn is an inspirer. And he is a messaging guy, and he knows how to talk to this locker room. The relationship that he has built with his players and that he has fostered in this locker room, I think is, like we said, it's going to show on the field. And it's going to show because this is a game that's going to be strategic. It's going to be, I think, wild. I think you're going to get trick plays. I think you're going to get some absurd plays. I think you're going to get big explosives. And then I bet you that there will be times where it's a whole lot of nothing, and both teams are struggling to get things going. But at the end of the day, if the Commanders can keep this in striking distance going into the fourth quarter, I think it's our ball game. And I think that the heart's going to win it out, and I'm going to go 27-24, hard on it.
Come on. Vegas is rooting for Washington, too. You see all the money.
Oh, I know. The public. Well, and so I actually will say somebody was talking about it up in the chat a while ago.
9.5.
And yeah, it was Coach Steve, and it was like the line opened at 5.5, and it shifted 4 points because of how much people love Detroit.
Yeah, and
I love when the public's against us.
Yeah,
I love it.
I do too. I love it. I love it.
Well, how much do you love it? I go 27-24. How much do you love it?
So, I said this last year. We were blown out of every game the last 10 weeks, right? After we beat New England. I said, coming in here, I said, this year, I said, this team, I don't think this team is going to get blown out of any games this year. I think you're going to get the best punch. Just the culture that they created, the coaching staff who's on there. You got Ken Norton coaching the linebackers. Overachieved, right? You've got Simmons up there coaching the DBs and all this stuff. Underachieved, but still, Joe Witt. I think he's done a good job. He's done. I give him a B- for what he's done. What he's got. This awful roster that people have talked about for months on end, right? And they've somehow won 13 games this year. That's a that's a testament to coaching and belief. So with that being said, right, we haven't got blown out of any games. It might come a time, maybe this is the moment, right? This might be the moment we do get blown out. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think we give it the best shot. And I've talked myself into it. I've like rattled the fence all week long. There is no way we should win this game. There's no way on God's green earth.
It's free
that
play.
We should. It is. You're right. You're right. It's a free play. This
Let's
is FanDuel.
It's free play.
There is no reason why we should win this game. But I think in a different way. I've talked myself into it. I think this team wins. I think we go out here. I think what's the line? What's the over-under set at?
I think it was 53 when I saw it.
Let me see here. I gotta see it because it's gonna help me out. Oh shit.
55 and a half.
55 and a half. Take the under on that.
I think the under too. I think it's gonna be a dogfight.
Yeah, take the under on it. I say Washington wins. Let's go. I want a funky score. Let's go 35-32 once again. Let's go. No, that's too much. That's the over, you idiot. That's the over, you idiot, Corey.
I was like, I was running some numbers in my head there. And I was like, man, it's late, but I don't know if I'm that off.
27-23. Let's go 27-23.
Washington wins 27-24.
Yeah, that's what I'll go. So I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I like what the Lions are doing. I'll be honest with you. If our team wasn't in here, I'd probably be rooting for the Lions.
Oh, I would too. If we're gonna have to lose to somebody, I'll take it to the Lions.
Yeah. That spread is crazy, and it's just like what Rick said. I'm not in the not going for that's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
It is crazy.
But you know what? It might not be crazy.
Hey, count us out. See what happens.
Yeah, count us out. Because you know what? Like I said, we like Detroit was a couple years ago, and people kept on counting them out. They should have made it to the playoffs back. What was it, 2 years ago when they won on Sunday Night Football? But just the situation and the numbers and everything, and then they still went out there and played hardball. You're gonna go and you're gonna get your best out of this team, man. You are, and we have not beaten the Lions in like a legitimate game in over, God, I'd say, since 2008? That's what it was, and that was a struggle.
So.
That was to keep the streak going on. 2016, I go back. Kirk Cousins runs in for a touchdown. Matt Stafford walks downfield, hits Anquan Bolden. I remember this stuff. Chase Young's dumbass knocking out Matt Stafford and putting him in range for I think it was a Prater field goal, maybe during the COVID year. So I remember we go up there, we down 22-0 in week 2 of the 22 season, and Ron Rivera looking stupid and incompetent. We remember these things. I remember these things. I know some of y'all might not remember it, but I remember it. And then for all you Washington fans, I love y'all out there. Stop with the 3-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was over 25 years ago. It's a new day. It is a new day. Get over it. It's over with now. We don't look to the past. This is about looking ahead. That's why I just think we built the different stuff, and confidence is crazy, and it just sometimes it just doesn't make sense. I look at the Eagles game. I look at Detroit's game against Houston. Sometimes stuff just doesn't make sense when you look at it at the end of the day.
Yeah. And this is going to be one of them. Chalk it up.
Yeah. Shaq, what's up, man? What's up? I love it, Shaq. I feel it. The Commanders are done. I know I'm glad you put the Commanders. I thought you were talking about the Cowboys. Are done still, but that's okay, bro. It's okay. But let's go, man. Let's go out here and let's show the world. Let's show the world.
Yeah,
I'll be here.
I'm ready.
I'll be here at 7:45 on Saturday, getting ready for the first time that we have Burkhardt and Tom Brady this year. So hopefully it won't be our last with having Tom Brady and Burkhardt. But if it is, hey, it's been a hell of a season. But like Will told me last week, I can't think like that. I can't think like that. It's on. It's on to Detroit, and let's see what we can do in Ford Field.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Give
Let's
me chills.
go.
I've been thinking about it all week. I'm ready to go.
Let's
I'm
go.
ready to play.
Let's go. We owe these guys. That's cute, Shaq. That's cute. You got. I like you even got the score here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's make something happen.
No, this is it.
Let's make a miracle
all
happen.
on the field. All on the field.
I quote Brian Billick. I've been thinking about Brian Billick's quote one time. He told the Ravens, and I think this was when they went to the Titans, and he pulled up a Sports Illustrated article that said the Titans are the best team in the NFL. He said they may be, but not today.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions,
that's how it's going to
be. The best team in the NFL. Maybe not today. Maybe not today. They are the NFC North. So we'll see. Let's go. Hey, Rick. So what I'm saying here, I know. What I'm saying is, you have to count the Houston game like we count the Eagles game. That's just a testament to y'all's team and how y'all were able to endure that. That's why I count it. I think you undersell your team if you don't count that game because of what they were able to do. 5 turnovers compared to how many turnovers did? Oh shoot, how many turnovers they have here? What am I looking at? 5-2. That don't discount your boys on that one. Yeah. Goff had a tip ball, a Hail Mary, and a wide open route run. Yeah, but still won. And we won too against the Eagles. Sorry, Washington. You guys have no chance against Detroit and the Lions. Thank you, Turbo Durbin. I love it, man. And we won the Eagles game. That's my point. Are y'all I don't know. Are you guys like blockheads or what? I'm like giving y'all credit. Has that came off as insulting to you? Has that came off? Do y'all think that's a shot? Y'all, look, I love y'all's I love y'all's Detroit Lions content creator, Micro Mike and Troxel and all those guys. I did some streams with them, so I got nothing but respect for y'all. This is about family business, though. We gotta take care of it. Brian Billick said, when you go into the Lions den, you don't go and tippy-toe in there. You go in there with your spear, like a banshee, hitting all cages and everything, say, where's the SOB? Because if you don't go in there, if you go in there any other way, you're going to wind up losing. Knock down them damn cages and go out there and win. Well, anything else, brother?
I mean, let's do it. Like, that's all I have to say. Let's go. I'm tired of thinking about it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm ready to watch us play some football and win a damn football game.
That's right. I'm laughing. I always laugh. There you go. Anyway, till next time, we keep that same damn energy. We outlast the bastards together. Playoff time. Sanchez 405. Thanks, Detroit Lions fans, for showing up here. Love, peace, and hell. Until next time, we'll be talking to you. Somebody get the damn theme music, and then also listen to Take Command too, on wherever you get podcasts at, and on the Odyssey app. So shout out to them. We are out.